Hey YouTubers, it's Nicole Sauce here. We're doing a live recording without any sound hooked up right, so I'm getting my mic set up. Anyway, I'm going to do live recording today, but if you haven't heard, my roaster caught on fire, and then the roaster is back up and running, and I'm roasting a lot. So I'm on 20-minute windows, and we're going to start with the first 20-minute window now, which is why I'm not really talking about this on social, although y'all are welcome to post on social if you want to let people know we're streaming. But I'm going to just, like, we always kind of do one episode a week that I record live. This one is about canning beans, and I'm just going to get it up and running and go, and we'll start talking. And if I see interesting questions on the chat, then my chat's over here, and the camera's over here. It's always the fun part. Anyway, I will integrate them into the show, but this is just the usual live recording of the podcast. So we haven't done like a homesteading topic in a long time, really. By long time, I mean a few weeks. And I got this like huge pile of green beans, and I thought, I'm not sure we've ever even done pressure canning. And a lot of you want to learn pressure canning. I'm planning to do for the members a pressure canning webinar this month. This month being September. It's already September in my head. But I don't know the date exactly because yesterday I made a big personal decision or a big decision about the business, about Hollow Roast Coffee. I decided that it was time. It's been time to upgrade the roaster. And I've been dragging my feet on this decision pretty hard. And so I stopped dragging my feet yesterday, basically, and decided, if I decide to upgrade the roaster in the middle of Christmas rush in November, it's going to really suck for me. So I've got to get it done. Here, mess with my mic a little bit there. And that's actually an issue, right? So I better do it now or never. That's where we're at right now. And then with the problem of the roaster, the fire is not the manufacturer's fault, and they've been really helpful with me getting it, back up and all cleaned up and all that. But I'm still having to tweak it in, and sometimes that means I need parts, and parts take a week. So I kind of thought, well, I already know I need to be. I'm going to basically increase by a factor of 5 to 10 times speed on my roasting by getting a bigger roaster. But then that means an electrical upgrade, a facility upgrade, some additional equipment I need that's built into my roaster. And that all costs money. And so I'm kicking around the idea of doing a Kickstarter. Like, I can totally bootstrap this through if I just push. But if I do a Kickstarter and pre-sell coffee, and some people have suggested that I, have some premium levels and have, like a coffee day here where I show people how to roast and give them a tour after everything's, at the premium level, or that I do a guide on how to make coffee, like a couple of different coffee drinks. And then I thought, well, I could do a tasting for one level where I just mail everything out, the pour overs and everything. We taste together online some different kinds of coffee. So we're looking at doing more than just pre-selling coffee. If you have ideas about that, email them to me. Let me know, because I think actually we can turn it into a really fun thing. And then if I could pre-sell coffee, it won't be quite as like I'm eking through on this roaster increase. So it's definitely the right choice. This theme is grow. Okay, anyway, let's get into the podcast. I'm going to do the first segment. When my alarm goes off out in the living room, we'll stop this, and then I'm going to start a new live stream so you don't have to sit here looking at nothing while I go handle roast. And I'll do 20-minute segments of recording until the podcast is done. Of course, if I see something interesting on the live stream, I will reference it. So this is where we're at. Hey, my record button's gone. I'm going to start the recording. Welcome, everyone, to Living Free in Tennessee. Wow, guys, I did that totally wrong. I should totally export that audio and start an outtakes thing. You know what I did that's kind of funny? Okay. My headset was not plugged in, so I can't hear anything. So I can't hear the This is where I'm supposed to talk, right? After the jingle. Oh, and the alarm is going off, but it's not the one for me to roast. Hold on. Computer, stop. That was a different alarm. I've had like alarms set for myself all day long. It's hilarious. Anyway, for those of you on YouTube, if you want to let people know on social we're live, do it. I'm doing 20-minute segments if you just joined. Okay, we're starting. Well, welcome everyone to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you want to live on your terms. Today is Wednesday, August 26, 2020, and this is episode 339 of Living Free in Tennessee. And today we're going to talk about pressure canning. I think pressure canning really freaks some people out. And we've all heard those stories from our ancestors or from our parents or online about the famous exploding pressure canner. When somebody messes it up, it goes boom and it kills them, or it burns them, or it maims them for life. And I guess that has happened, but most pressure canners these days are built a little differently than some of the ones from a long time ago, 80 years ago, right? So to safely process green beans, which is something that I ended up with an abundance of in the last week or so, aside from making dilly beans, which are tasty, you need to be able to pressure can them, or you freeze them. And who has room in their freezer these days? Not if you've been stocking up properly on your meat, you don't. So today I'm going to walk you through the pressure canning process, because I don't think we've ever actually, I think I've talked about it in passing, but we're going to talk through the pressure canning process today. And I'm going to use green beans as the example. Also, it is Holler Hat Wednesday. What in the world is she up to? Who's that she's on? Go check it out at Instagram. It's at Nicole Sauce on Instagram. Speaking of social, I haven't talked about this in a while, but we have some really awesome groups on social networks. One is a Facebook group called the Living Free in Tennessee Coffee Break Group. The other one's on MeWe, MEWE, MeWe.com. We have a group there where you can post things, but there is this live chat that happens, and it's very interesting for me to watch that. Like, I don't stay up on it, but I pop in there from time to time and talk about whatever we're talking about at that moment, or ask questions. Like today I asked a bunch of questions about doing a Holler Roast coffee expansion Kickstarter that I'm kicking around the idea of doing, which means it might launch tomorrow. That's how I work on those things. No, probably not tomorrow. Anyway, it's a great place, especially if you're like looking for advice on how to do something on the homestead, or you want to start a new side hustle or a business. There are a lot of people with varied backgrounds on the MeWe group. It's Living Free in Tennessee on MeWe. And to get to it, you just go to MeWe.com, create a user account, find the Living Free in Tennessee MeWe group. There's a link in the show notes to that, by the way, at the bottom of the show notes. And then you answer a few questions as best you can. Even if you don't officially know the answer, just tell me an answer that's not jerkish sounding. And then we let you in and you join our community. Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning, we have a tendency to be a little bit more lively on chat, because I usually pop in Tuesday and Thursday morning if I can. Also, Unloose the Goose is recording tonight. I have like 50,000 announcements today. 7:30 p.m. tonight, Unloose the Goose is recording live on YouTube. That's at the Unloose the Goose YouTube channel. And we have today a whole list of listener questions. Unloose the Goose is a new podcast that I've joined with a whole bunch of other agorists, just talking about solutions to problems. What if we solve the problem outside of the system? What's possible? What are the possibilities, right? So that's all over at YouTube, 7:30 tonight. Finally, if you want to send me email or Stump the Sauce or anything else, you can do it, Nicole, Nicole, at livingfreeintennessee.com, or go over to livingfreeintennessee.com, click on contact, and fill out the form. With that, it's time for our first segment, and it's Stump the Sauce. I got to stump the sauce this week. It's from Ken. Ken wants to know, how do you maintain a Blackstone-like cooktop if you're having trouble with rust? And I asked Ken a couple questions, like, what do you mean? Because I don't really have that problem right now. And he said, I said, is it undercover? And he said, no, yes, it is, but I get sort of a misty bounce back when it rains. So this is my thoughts on how to maintain a Blackstone cooktop, first of all, use it. The more you use that cooktop, the better off it's basically a giant cast iron. For those who don't know what it is, it's a giant cast iron cooktop. So you maintain it the same way that you maintain a cast iron skillet. And so the seasoning is what happens when you cook fats and oils on it. So if you want to do like some sort of a flaxseed oil thing or bacon, just cook bacon on it, that helps just form a layer that becomes quote unquote nonstick. Okay, so that's the background. However, I find with my Blackstone, there's not a lot of maintenance I need to do as long as water is not on it. So when I cook vegetables, there's water in vegetables. If you leave the vegetables on the Blackstone too long, they'll kind of eat through the seasoning and then you have to re-season it. The way I season mine is I literally get a pound of bacon and I cook it. And I have enough people around that we can eat a pound of bacon, no problem. And then once the bacon's done, I'll just leave it on to continue cooking that bacon fat and spread it around. That's how I keep it up, okay? Now, with your problem with the moisture getting on there, so mine also was starting to rust from a bounce back situation because I had it under cover, but it was towards an edge. I moved it so it wouldn't get that bounce back. But before I moved it, when I wanted to leave it in that same place, I developed a cover. I basically took a tarp and some duct tape and I made a custom cover for it. You can buy covers for it. You can buy a metal cover for it that's made for it. But the goal is keep the water off the grill, keep the grill or the cooktop, and keep the cooktop seasoned, and then you won't have any trouble at all. So my thought for you is think about ways to keep that mist from hitting it, whether it be making a cover or make some sort of you could take a roofing panel that's clear and just affix it up so that you don't get the splash in. Those are my thoughts. And then of course, just use it. Use the crap out of it, because the more you use it, the less there is a moisture set in. I think if you don't use it in our particular climate here with the humidity in the summer, that would be enough to start causing rust spots. Of course, if you've already got that going on, Walmart sells for a couple of bucks this metal flat scraping tool that's made for those sorts of things. You kind of see them use them at hibachi grills and stuff. But that thing's great. You can just scrape all that stuff off, put some salt on the top and rub it around and get any buildup that's weird and not, just like you would with your cast iron skillet, right? Any ups, ridges, and valleys smoothed out, and then take lard or bacon grease or flaxseed oil. Yeah, flaxseed oil. It's very common that I would say linseed instead of flaxseed. You do not want to put linseed oil on this, by the way. Just think about what would happen if you did that. So flaxseed oil. I use avocado oil. Any peanut oil, anything that has sort of a higher temperature, and you turn that puppy on. I'll leave it on for half an hour on high when I get it nice and coated, and I'll come back and check on it and add more grease or oil and get that nice cast iron skillet seasoning on there. And then once you have that, you're good to go. So I hope that helps you, Ken. Next segment is tales from another booze whisperer. I got reached out to by somebody who loves to make cocktails, and it's a she. So we have the booze whisperer-ette who has stepped up to the plate to say, hey, I'm going to do, I'd like to do this segment. So here is our trial run with a different booze whisperer. The other booze whisperer has been very busy and unable to get me segments. So I thought, why not give this one a shot? For those of you on social media, you'll probably figure out who this is, and perhaps she will say who she is in the segment. I thought, well, what a fun thing would be mocktails instead of cocktails, because I'm struggling with mocktails and I'm not really drinking as much as I used to. So I have 2 cocktail days a week and the rest of it is no drinks. And then I kind of want a fancy drink, but I don't want lots of calories. I don't really like sweet all the time. And, I need to get a setup. So I'm excited to hear this segment. With that, I'm going to say, what do you got for us, booze whisperer-ette? Okay, and I've just stopped the recording on this while I copy this in. The sad things, guys, is if you're on the YouTube, you're going to watch me edit rather than get to hear this. And the person it's actually a pretty cool person who we're going to have doing this for a while. And I'm pretty sure after you hear the segment in the podcast, you'll agree with me that it's a great one. But first, I have to bring her audio file in, and probably my alarm's going to go off in the middle of this, I would guess. So we're at episode 338, Living Free in Tennessee. I was actually living pretty dangerously today. I was recording this without having the saved file in advance. So now I'm saving this. Ooh, except for, is it 338 or 3? That's 339. I don't even know what I said. The best part was at the beginning. I didn't know what today was. I knew it was Wednesday. I didn't know what day of the month it was. That's like something I usually put in my show notes, but I didn't today for whatever reason. So I had to count really quickly. I knew that Monday was the 24th, so I only had to count to 2. And you totally saw me do that on the video. Anyway, my alarm is going off, which means you don't have to watch me put in the segment. I'm going to go handle the roast, and then we're going to hop on and do more recording for another segment. And that's how the podcast gets made today. It was actually a perfect stopping point because I'm editing something in. So guys on YouTube, see you back later.